Imagine this. You wake up next to the woman you vowed to grow old with, only for her to hand you divorce papers 3 days after laying her father to rest. The same woman who clung to you, sobbing into your shirt at the gravesite, now stands across from you and says with chilling detachment, "You're no longer of any use to me." But here's the kicker. She never even bothered to open her father's will. What follows is a tale stitched with betrayal, cold ambition, and the kind of revenge that doesn't scream. It waits. A man pushed to the brink, quietly observing as the woman he once adored lets her greed consume her in slow motion. Secret lunches with her father's attorney. Hidden clauses buried deep in legalese. And a lover she thought would be her escape. Until the courtroom doors flung open and fate rewrote her ending. When the judge struck the gavel, everything she assumed she'd walk away with dissolved like sugar in rainwater. So who played whom? Before we unravel that final thread, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And if this story strikes a chord, don't forget to follow. Tomorrow, I've got something even wilder for you. She tossed the divorce papers on the polished mahogany table, like she was discarding a takeout menu. The slap of the pages echoed in the stillness, a sound that felt final, like a book closing. Her tone? Empty, void of emotion. You're no use to me now. Only 3 days had passed since we stood over her father's grave, since she crumbled in my arms, her body racked with grief, sobbing like a child lost in a storm. The soil was still fresh on the coffin, and already she decided to bury me too. I picked up the papers, steady as ever. No blink, no breath, just silence as I stared at her signature, already dry in corner. "You'll want to remember this moment," I said, my voice calm and cool, like the air before a blizzard. "Don't say I didn't warn you." She laughed, a brittle, hollow sound, like glass cracking under pressure. There was no soul in her eyes anymore, just the cold glint of someone who thought they'd already won. But me? I wasn't surprised. I had seen this ending coming from miles away. I allowed it to unfold, because betrayal doesn't show up out of nowhere. It brews in the background, whispers behind closed doors, festers in half-truths. And I'd been listening, watching. She thought the funeral was the closing chapter. She didn't realize she had just signed away her future. Because the will, she never bothered to read it. I met Lena a decade ago at a rooftop gathering in the city. String lights overhead, champagne glasses dripping in the summer heat. She lit up the space, sharp-tongued, effortlessly beautiful, always one step ahead of everyone in the room. Her laughter was like a blade, elegant and cutting. Back then, we were nobodies, young, broke, and hungry for more. Rent swallowed half our paychecks, and we chased dreams we could barely afford to name. She used to talk about the ocean constantly. "One day, I want a house by the sea," she'd murmur, barefoot on our apartment floor, flipping through coastal living magazines we couldn't even dream of buying. I swore I'd make it happen, that if I had to pour every drop of sweat into it, I'd build her that dream. So I did. I took on 3 jobs, sacrificed my 20s, chased every dollar like it owed me something. All the while, she floated, jumping from one shiny idea to the next. Art galleries, fashion ventures, half-written manuscripts. She never stayed long enough with any of them to grow roots. But I didn't care. I loved her. Or maybe I was in love with a version of her that only existed in my imagination, the woman I thought she could become. Her father, Franklin Delqua, came from legacy money, the kind built on ruthless decisions and ironclad contracts. He was colder than winter steel and twice as sharp. To him, I was a stain on their pristine family tree. When Lena and I married, he went radio silent for 6 months, told her I was dragging her down, bleeding her dry, and maybe in some ways, he was right. I stripped away the part of her that thrived on luxury, handed to her without effort. The version of her that survived on charm and rich connections had no place with a man who only knew how to earn his way. After things started unraveling, I brought in both a lawyer and a private investigator. It didn't take long for the pieces to fall into place. Turns out, no surprise, it was Marlene who had used an old copy of my Social Security card to attempt co-signing Leah onto a private education loan. followed shortly by an application for a car loan. When those failed, someone tried to open new lines of credit using altered versions of my name. Typos that almost passed under the radar. But it didn't stop there. As my legal team dug deeper, my attorney obtained messages between Marlene and one of her friends. Their conversations were disturbingly clear. They were mapping out their future and just needed to get through the wedding. One message still echoes in my head. Once we're married, I don't have to fake being relaxed about money anymore. There were also texts from Leah that chilled me. One said, I don't get why he won't let us in. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to say I'm pregnant or something. We need this. Need. Not love. Not family. Need. I sat in silence as I read it all. Every memory. Her kissing me goodnight. Those quiet evenings curled up watching old movies. The way she'd whisper, I love you, like it meant everything. Suddenly felt like scenes from performance. Had any of it been sincere? All the evidence was handed to law enforcement. The investigation shifted gears. Identity theft, financial fraud. It wasn't just speculation anymore. Marlene never called again, but she did send one final email. The subject line read, I'm sorry. Inside, she wrote, I know you must hate me, but I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't want to fall back into struggle. I thought we could build something. Yes, I messed up, but you went too far. You could have had faith in me. We were so close. Close to what exactly? I didn't reply. I never will. Once the PI's full report came in, the full scope of their actions became clear. They hadn't just filed shady loan applications. They had forged my signature on 2 separate documents they downloaded off some questionable website. One was a fake consent form supposedly allowing Leah to use my credit for college expenses. The other was a draft of a revocable living trust, naming Marlene and Leah as beneficiaries. They hadn't filed it anywhere official, but the fact they had a fake estate plan sitting in a drawer told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a relationship. It was a scam unfolding in slow motion. My lawyer turned it all over to the district attorney. A few weeks later, the office decided to press charges. Felony charges, attempted identity theft, falsification of legal documents, fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes. Even Leah, despite being 16, is under investigation, though they're handling her case as a juvenile matter. That part still hits me the hardest. I really saw her as my own. I helped that girl build her photography website from scratch, took her to her first concert, watched her beam during school presentations where she introduced me as her bonus dad. That same kid went behind my back and signed my name to a $22,000 loan. As for Marlene, she initially tried to deny everything, claimed she had no clue what Leah was up to, said she was just doing what any mother would, trying to secure her child's future. But when prosecutors asked how my forged signature wound up on fake legal forms and why she texted her sister about securing the future, she suddenly stopped talking and hired her own attorney. Her ex-husband even came forward once news broke. He told investigators that during their divorce, she allegedly drained a retirement fund and tried to file retroactive child support while he was unemployed. So now, I'm not her only financial casualty. Emotionally, that's a whole different story. People ask how I'm doing. Some days, I feel completely numb. Other days, it swings between fury, guilt, and grief. You don't realize how deep this stuff cuts until you're lying next to someone, letting them in, sharing passwords, dreams, meals, and find out they were plotting a financial ambush the entire time. It wasn't just betrayal. It was psychological warfare. I look back and see the red flags I brushed aside. Her obsession with my financial milestones, her constant hints about merging assets, Leah asking what would happen to my house if I died without a will. The signs were all there. I just didn't want to believe them. Therapy has helped. I've been meeting with someone weekly to process all of this. My ability to trust is now pretty much Olympic level guarded, but I'm working through it. I've also frozen all credit activity, changed every login credential I have, and updated my will to make sure no one gets added without thorough legal review. If there's a bright side, it's this. I escaped before signing that marriage license. No shared bank accounts. No joint legal obligations. No child that wasn't mine. Thank God they didn't pull that card. And as for what Leah warned me, that I'd regret leaving? No, I don't regret walking away. What I regret is ever letting them through the door.